distinguished Senator Surajuddin as it relates to the decongestion of the prison exercise. Mr. Chairman, a lot has been achieved in that respect. But in view of the fact that major players as it relates to prison decongestion exercise embarked upon by Federal Ministry of Justice are here with us, I think I will, with your permission, invite two people, the DG Legal Aid Council and the Secretary of the Prison Decongestion Program in the Federal Ministry of Justice to give an insight. But above all, before proceeding to that level, I think you equally, as a National Assembly, deserve commendation, because it is indeed a foundation that was laid by the National Assembly against the background of the passage of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act that had indeed laid the necessary foundation for the policy that turns out to be effective in the congestion of the prisons. How do I mean, Mr. Chairman? You recall that arising from the provisions of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, a discretion is now vested and conferred on the prison authorities that whichever prison formation or correctional service formation is indeed filled to capacity, they are now vested with the discretion not to accept any further inmate. So with that in mind, the idea of congestion has been completely eliminated. But then what is it that we have done in terms of ensuring at the end of the day that the Administration of Criminal Justice had indeed provided the desired support in that respect? The Legal Aid Council Act was equally taken into consideration in that respect. Now, the idea is to call on the DG to give you statistics, if he has any, as to the ways and manners that the Legal Aid Council came to support what we are doing in terms of prison decongestion. But then it was collective approach arrangement, an approach that saw the legislature, the National Assembly passing the law, the executive playing its role, and indeed supporting same by way of policy decision. What policies were as well put in place in terms of the decongestion of the prisons? It was common knowledge that as of 2015, when we came on board as a government, the decongestion of prison was indeed a front burner issue. And you will agree collectively with me that it is no longer an issue out there in the policy as being an issue of advocacy or agitation, simply because it is being very well addressed. Mr. President, personally, and indeed encouraged the state governors across the nation to consider prison visit in the exercise of the powers vested in them. In writing, Mr. President extended further requests to the judiciary and urged the CJs across the nation to consider prison visits in writing. At one single prison visit in Kano State, the governor of Kano State succeeded in releasing over 500 people at a time, prisoners, inmates at a time. And then Mr. President took further steps to put in place a committee, the Decongestion of Prison Committee, that went around all over the Federation, and indeed those that are found befitting for consideration were indeed granted certain respite arising therefrom. And that is not only what was done by the President, but indeed in the exercise of his constitutional powers, Mr. President had equally extended some compassion arising from the prerogative of mercy arrangement to over 200 people, among others. So, Mr. Chairman, by way of consolidation of the submission, the foundation of which I have laid, I will first invite the DG Legal Aid Council, who is here with us, to give us an insight as to what they have done in support of prison decongestion in further answer to the question. With your permission, Mr. Chairman,
I just stepped out.
Oh, it's not here?
No, he's around, just stepped out.
Oh, okay. So, Mr. Chairman, before the arrival of the DG, I will invite the secretary of the prison decongestion program. But one thing that I omitted to mention was the non-custodial sentence that was equally introduced in the law enacted by the National Assembly, which has equally assisted drastically in now providing alternative sentences other than the prison sentence. So with your permission, Mr. Chairman, I invite the Mrs. Letitia to now say a word as to what they have succeeded in achieving relating to the decongestion of prison exercise.